Hello gamers, this is Not an Inquisitor. Today is going to be a review of a game called When the Wolf Comes. Welcome to this review of When the Wolf Comes by Ian Stuart Sharpe. It's a role-playing game that uses the Shadow of the Demon Lord rule set, and it is set in a Norse-inspired world called the VIKINGVERSE. Now this is the time to cue your Norse metal music. So I have received a PDF of this game by the author and was asked to have a look at it. I could have just said no, but since it's a game powered by Shadow of the Demon Lord, and I decided to do a review because I enjoy the Shadow of the Demon Lord game very much, and to an extent I considered myself a supporter of anything Schwalbe Entertainment and anything Rob Schwalbe produces. In fact, I just bought recently a print on demand of an old D20 book called The Book of Fiends, because it's just awesome. Not because it's something third edition, but because it's just a fantastic book. So I love what Rob is doing. Before I'm going to tackle this review, I have some things to say about my baggage with Vikings and the Norse mythology, because it will influence what I have to say about the game itself and how it is presented to us and such and such. But I don't want to be a review just of my own taste about this game. I want this review to be fair and kind of objective, although it's kind of impossible. I come to this review with the point of view of someone who has run several games of Shadow of the Demon Lord, Shadow of the Weird Wizard, and Asunder, another game powered by this system. Shadow of the Weird Wizard is in production currently, but I have the PDFs and I have toyed with it and do some solo gaming with it. Although Shadow of the Demon Lord I know very well, and I've ran several games of that. So I'll be honest, I don't know quite how. I don't know how to review this game properly, so I will try my best. And my main two hurdles with this review is first, I am not an expert in Norse culture, nor that I will ever be an expert in Norse culture. I'm not someone who can call itself a Viking fan, or it's not a culture that attracts to me that much. I enjoy a good Norse story once in a while, the 13 Warriors, the Mighty Thor. I have the GURPS Viking in my GURPS collection, of course, but the Norse culture is not my main interest. So, and this game brings a lot of it, like a lot of it. So it's kind of a lot to digest for someone who is just a casual fan of Vikings. Secondly, I don't generally like monoculture world, kind of the Star Wars planet syndrome, where you have one planet and one theme every time. So I have kind of a difficulty approaching a world that is kind of a monoculture. But this is the game. This is the concept of the game. It is the VIKINGVERSE. So what should I expect from a game about Vikings, for Vikings, everything Viking centric? So 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 there's a lot of things in this game that don't work for me personally, but these things might be something that is totally up your alley and might totally work for you. So I'm gonna jump in with my biases, and let's see how it goes. So what is When the Wolves Come? So the core concept is that it's a world. It's a Viking verse. It's Ragnarok and roll. It's sci-fi Vikings. It's Viking in space. It's Vikings with laser guns and all that jazz. So first of all, the quality of the book. I mean, the book is crafted with great details. The love for the Viking culture and the Norse mythology is showing. I can only imagine how cool the physical product is. The interior, my god, the layout of the book is very clean, crisp, it's easy to read, it's fun to read. The font choices are great, the graphics, the layout, everything worked great in the inside. There's lots of art in this book. And I understand from interacting with the author that there's a comic book and a novel about this specific universe. So that might be why there is so much art in this book. It's kind of crazy. And one thing I like about the art in this book is that it's all consistent. The credits, just right here, tell us that there is 3 interior artists, and they all kind of blend together seamlessly. The art style is kind of a Mike Mignola type of art. Lots of black with shapes, almost a vector graphic look to it. But there's a lot of Jack Kirby influences. There's an European feel to it. There's a Star Wars Meta Baron feel. There's a... Well, it fits the genre that this book is trying to convey. So far, 5-star on that. The cover art, I'm not a fan of. As an artist, I could go on and on and on about why this cover doesn't work. Personally, technically, and almost scientifically. But I'd rather show you an image from the book that would be a better cover. So let's jump to page 246. 246, yeah, this one here with the Odin-like figure. I mean, this would have made a better cover in my opinion, maybe with a different coloring, although this coloring is really good. So for me, that would have worked as a cover. Without getting too deep on the whys, the subjective or technical issues I have with it, let's say there is 2 things I could say about it really quick. First is I adhere to the idea that when you show a big bad monster right from the start, it loses all its mystical power and frightening power. If you show the monster in the first scene of a movie, it's kind of less horrifying or terrifying. But if you do like the Jaws movie and you just show the effect of the creature or just his fin, and you reveal it at the end in the 3rd act of the movie in the most shocking way, that will gripe your moviegoer, and people will jump scare out of their cinema seat. So in this context, a role-playing game showing the big bad wolf right on the front of the cover, not the great idea for me. I'd rather have the unanswered question: what is this wolf exactly? Is this just a dire wolf like in this example, or is it like a world eater force of nature bigger than we can imagine, or is it something crazier, like a spirit that can jump from people to people? I don't know, but a mystery would be better in this case. And the other thing I would say about this cover, just to say, just to wrap it quickly, is I also adhere to the idea that presentation is part of design, and that cover to me should be the best piece of art in the book, in what you have, because picture truly convey 1,000 words. So I would have made a different look about it, and you know the the saying that goes, you should not judge a book by its cover. Well, because majority of people judge a book by the cover. So I would totally change this cover. I would do something more mystical, more weird, and let the question, what is this wolf about, unanswered. So just to close the art part, the interior art is just amazing. As you can see here, it's quite powerful and comic booky, and it's my jam. So so the text now, there's a lot of stuff in this book. If I return quickly to the page of content, right here you have an idea. It's a almost 400 page book, almost. There's a lot of stuff about the chapter, about the setting, I mean. It's a huge, there's a lot of love in this book, for sure. But there's also a lot of Viking words, or Norse word. Words that I can try to pronounce, like Dokalf, Jotun, Njunheima, Jotar, Skald, and etc. There's a 3 pages of lexicon at the end of the book, but I feel it could be like 10 pages at least of words. Most of the time in the text, you have an example here at the page 3. You have the 4 word, but it's in big letter, formarsold, and that word, I have the impression of maybe if I bought the wrong language in my book. Well, it's a lot to digest. I can barely speak English, and now I have to like read Norse words on top of it. So it's a bit too much to my taste, but after all, this is the VIKINGVERSE. This is what you paid for. So you will be bombarded with new words and new ideas. If I take my daughter, for example, she could not begin to understand what a Drevgar Skald Verulik connected to the IMIM, and who uses Sidrkraft is. Well, she could not grasp that concept without doing a whole lot of tedious exposition, which I'm not always ready to do. I prefer a quick game, so I don't want to have to explain such a concept to my teenage daughter, and my young boy would fly straight over his head. It would be just cool Vikings with a brain implant. So there's a lot of things to digest, and you will have some time to go back at the introduction of the book to really grasp some concept. You will sometimes have to move around the book in search of a certain word to have an explanation for it. So, but the rest of the text it's written well. It's full of details. Sometimes a little bit too much. Especially in the technology chapter, when there's a paragraph about quantum physics that is nothing useful to gaming. It's kind of a cool refresher if you're familiar with the basic, but it's not something gamers usually uses in their game. It's more of a it's more if you like engineering and physics. It's sometimes cool to know how things work, but sometimes just the surface level explanation also work. I feel here it's just a personal preference. So let's jump into the characters themselves. So your hero in When the Wolf Comes starts as like in Demon Lord at 0 level, and you go on from there. You choose at first level a novice path. Then somewhere around 3, 4, 5 levels, you choose an expert path from 16 different branches, and then after you go on to a master path from and you choose from 64 branches. There's a lot of magic in this game, and I would say half of character classes can cast magic. The Vikings do not make a difference between science and magic, so it's okay for this setting. The stats in these games are renamed for flavor as might, slight, slate, wits, and will. I'm fine with might. I'm fine with wits. I'm fine with will being the same name. But personally, I would use the same stats as Demon Lord just for simplicity. Ancestry-wise, your races are men, but it's spelled funny. Alfar, which are elf, but alien and weird and terrifying. You have then Dvergar, which are robots. Jotnar, which are mutant experiments. Dokalfar, living construct. You have the Sons of Ivaldi, clones or some sort. Yarn Vinjur, uplifted animal. Jafur, which are new gods, and I pray that they are kind of like the new gods of Jack Kirby. I kind of hope I would play those as such. Arknias, which are undead orcs, and Wains, which are 3 touched beings connected to Yggdrasil. The basic 4 novice path at first level are Wise Men, which are your wizard, scientist, scholar. Skald, which are bard, and it's kind of funny to have bards as a basic class in this game. You have your Outlander, which are Homesteader, Ranger, Trader, and the Oathsworn, warrior type. So advancement wise, it's the same as Demon Lord, like I mentioned before. Mechanic wise, it's pretty much the same, which has some tweak for the setting. One of the tweaks doesn't work for me. It's the advantage and disadvantage system in Demon Lord. Is called Banes and Boons, and here it's renamed Wheels and Woes. And as a French speaker, those words don't connect with me, so I would definitely use Banes and Boons. You have an index at the far end of the books, an index that is only 2 page. So there's gaps in the index. For example, there is no entry for advancement or what you have to search for level advancement to find it. I will not fault the author for this because I've written at least 2 RPG books, and good indexes are really hard to do. I know firsthand, so I will not fault this author for this. The setting of the setting of the game is, of course, called VIKINGVERSE. It's centered about around Vikings and Norse mythology. So Christianity was destroyed, the world was conquered by Vikings, then Asia was burnt off by radiation from a supernova, and that bit made me chuckle quite a bit. Talk about monoculture by just burning like the biggest culture on the planet. Zap, you're not there anymore. So yeah, to me the setting is fine. You can really go nuts and create. In fact, I would wager that a majority of GMs who will use this game will probably do their version of this world rather than stick to what's in the book, because it's really specific. I mean, if you read the comics and you really liked it and you want to play in this universe, you will do that. But for most game masters who just buy books because they are cool without having to digest a whole series, most GMs will probably just run their own games. This setting, to me at least, is a bit of a stretch, stretching my suspension of disbelief with the idea that without the modern world, a tech level 2 pre-medieval pagan world would lead to calculus and space travel. It's kind of a stretch for me. But if humanity received and was gifted weird technology from the Norse gods, the Asgardian, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But like I said, I don't like monoculture. I'd rather pick and choose what I like in this setting. But anyway, there is so much in this game. You really can build your own setting with what's presented. And there's a class system, a social class system in this world. I have no problem with that because it's fantasy. It's just made up world. It's great for bringing drama and tense situation in the game. The woke people will freak out because, for example, the troll are basically slaves, so that will not fly with the modern audience. But it's cool. It's a I would say it's a Viking authentic setting, even though there is starships and laser guns, and that's it. So in conclusion, to me this book is exactly what it needs to be. It's a singular vision from a single author. It has a singular art style. It's to the point. It's trying to bring you this Viking Ragnarok and roll attitude, and the classes are weird. The monsters are weird. You feel like you're reading the Mighty Thor drawn by Kirby. The book has a feeling of being the campaign document of a GM that created a game from Demon Lord and decided to publish it later on. It has that feeling. It is a beast to digest, so GMs, buckle up. If you like Vikings, you will be served. There's a lot of learning to do, and for that reason, as a novice, as an incompetent in Norse mythology, I feel a little bit overwhelmed, and it did took me like more than a month to articulate in my mind how I could review this game. Maybe I wasn't such a good fit for that, but I love the Demon Lord so much, so I'm a man of my word. So here is the review. It's a great Demon Lord supplement. I mean, it's a game in itself. You can play just that, but personally, I would probably use it as a source book rather than a full game, because I cannot just see myself run a Viking only campaign. I'm a child of the 80s and comics and Marvel, and to me it's to me Norse culture is something to be added to a campaign rather than to be a campaign. To me, Norse culture is the Mighty Thor, but within the larger Marvel universe context. it's the Vendel Vesten source book for 7th, or it's the Elfrost setting, which has a Viking undertone, Norse framework, but there's all your fantasy shenanigans on top. But I could see myself run a short campaign of it, like 5 to 10 sessions. Maybe I could do that. But then my imagination would start to break and open up to crazy kung fu cowboy coming in and Rift cyberpunk glitter boy coming in, and I could not help myself to go there. So if I could say there's little things to improve in this book. I mean, I would not want this book to be any different, maybe apart 3 little things, and that would be a better cover, using the Demon Lord gaming terminology instead of just changing everything for flavor, because it's a game, it's not just a setting or a comic book, it's a game in this context. So game have terms and terms have meaning, and changing name can blur the meaning. And maybe I would do third things. Maybe I would do an editing pass on a future edition of this game to make it more palatable for a wider audience, or a GM who did not have time to digest or consume the series, or maybe include a comic book inside the books, or maybe have a comic book chapter like they used to do in Werewolf the Apocalypse, to bring the people in and to show the world to potential gamer. That would help with to make people ease into the lore and get invested into the setting. So overall, this game is its own little gem waiting to be discovered, in my opinion. It has everything you need to play this type of universe, and it's really easy to hack and mod to your taste. The Shadow of the Demon Lord engine being very simple. So with everything said and done, the idea of playing badass space Vikings with guns and fighting a giant world destroyer, it's pretty badass as an idea. So I would definitely recommend it if that type of theme appeals to you. So thanks for watching. See you later.